Ever stop to think how much those little impulse buys on your phone are adding up to, and how many subscription payments are sneaking out of your bank account every single month? Before I started using Rocket Money, let me tell you, I had no idea. But the first time I logged in, I saved $435. I couldn't believe it. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I just love the dashboard. It shows everything in one place, even the subscriptions you forgot you signed up for. And if there's something you don't need, Rocket Money helps you cancel it. Plus, it alerts you if a bill increases or if something unusual pops up in your account. It's basically like having a personal assistant for your money. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Kim today. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim.
Welcome to the Kim Commando Show podcast for the weekend of November 9th, 2024. Thank you for listening to the Kim Commando Show. Here's hour one.
So, Barbra Streisand, she has an autobiography out. Well, it's been out for about a year. But what I just realized is that it is so long as an audiobook. I was just thumbing through Audible, and to listen to My Name is Barbara, you're going to have to sit there for 48 hours. Could you imagine 48 hours? Wow. And I don't know if you know this story, but back in 2016, she wasn't so happy with the way that Siri was pronouncing her name. So because she's Barbra Streisand, she's able to get Tim Cook on the phone, who is, of course, the CEO of Apple Computer, a $3.3 trillion company, and said, Siri is not pronouncing my name correctly. It's not Barbra Streisand, it's Barbra Streisand, like sand on the beach. Oh, man. But speaking of, one more thing about Barbara that I always thought was interesting is that she actually cloned her dog, Samantha, using cells from her stomach and mouth. And then talk about the hit single. You ready for it? Send in the clones. Oh, that one hurt even me. And I hope you're ready to get more tech smarts, because every single thing is a tech thing. And if you don't know what's happening in the tech world, you are going to be left tech behind in the digital dust. And that's my job here as Kim Commando, America's beloved digital goddess. You just tapped into the best show, the biggest show, the award-winning show about all things digital. And of course, you can find me on over 420 top stations across the United States. I'm streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Commando. And you can also get the Kim Commando Show as a podcast now. We love that. So wherever you get your podcasts, just search for Commando with a K, of course. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching over 375,000 U.S. service members. Now, during the show, I give out some various promo codes and addresses for some of our sponsored products. And if you're sitting there saying like, hey, what's going on? How do I tap into getting that 58% off or that smoke-in deal on Incogni? Head over to commando.com/sponsors. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. You know, T-Mobile's advanced 5G network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. All right, then every single day I dive into at least 35, 40 different sources to make sure that we are both up to date on what's going on in the tech world. And here are the top 5 things that you need to know that's happening right this minute. We're going to start with the election is done. It's over. It's finished. It ended this past Wednesday morning at 1:45. Maybe not. This is super interesting. The election was so polarizing that Google has stepped in and they have begun moderating, maybe they should say babysitting, employees' emails and internal communications. You see, Google employees have been warned to focus on business and knock off all the political smack talk and the memes. Focus on business. As Google says, whomever the voters entrust, let's remember the role that we play at work and our products we build. Our business is to be a trusted source of information to people of every background and belief. Whoa, finally, big tech gets it. So let's all move on together. All right, how about number 2? It's worse than we thought. I'm talking about a new update on that big cyber attack that linked to China going after the U.S. telecom giants like AT&T and Verizon. So as it turns out, for nearly 8 months, Chinese hackers quietly lurked inside our telecommunications network. They could access call logs, text messages, even wiretap systems. So according to a new Wall Street Journal report, it wasn't just high-profile targets like politicians or journalists they were after. Turns out that thousands of ordinary Americans might have been swept up in all this. Okay, the real shocker, they got in through the routers. Yeah, that's the backbone of our communications systems. Moving on to number 3, how old were you when you started looking at yourself in the mirror and going like, dang, I'm getting old? Well, as it turns out, it's happening now when kids aren't even teenagers. What? Scarlett, an 11-year-old little girl, told Fast Company that she doesn't want to get wrinkles and look old. So she's already using anti-aging products like retinol. Gosh, girls in Generation Alpha, born between 2010 and mid-2020s, are buying up serums, peels, and other things that are made for older skin. And it's actually doing the reverse on younger skin, not making it younger, it's making it actually look older. So if you have a little girl who's into anti-aging products, you might want to say, hey, you know what? We don't necessarily need that right now. And it's not just the girls. Boys are getting drawn in too by TikTok videos that are pushing testosterone boosters, saying that they're going to get a more vascular look and a bigger package. And so what does TikTok have to say about this? Nothing. Moving on to number 4, a recent Pew Research survey tells us who's most at risk for AI taking their jobs. About 19% of all Americans are in the crosshairs. I'm talking about jobs like secretaries, assistants, librarians, music teachers, receptionists, customer service reps, travel agents, meat packers, people who clean airplanes and vehicles, bartenders, waiters, waitresses. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So the bottom line here is that no matter what job career that you have, you really have to start thinking about how you can use AI. And finally, this coming at number 5, this story is super disturbing to me. It's really tough. A company called PolyGenX is charging parents $50,000 to look at their embryos and pick out the ones that are the brightest. What? Is this where our tech is going? Through a genetic test called pre-implantation genetic testing for polygenic risk, or PGTP, sounds a lot better, the test takes a look at multiple genes to predict complex traits like intelligence, ADHD, or other health risk in the embryo. Parents start by undergoing the usual IVF process, creating the embryos by fertilizing eggs with sperm. Those embryos are then frozen. Genetic data is taken from each one. They analyze all the data. They give each embryo a score based on traits like IQ, height, and certain disorders. Now, combine this news with AI taking over the world. Man. It's really frightening when you know exactly what's going on. All right, coming up, I have a gal that we're going to be talking to. It's a tough story, but I need you to hear this story. And I'm just going to caution you right now. It's going to be difficult to hear. It's about a gal who met a guy online and what happened to her. And then later on, we do have our digital life hack tips, how to find some lost medals this Veterans Day, and a new scam that's spreading online that I need to warn you about. And of course, we have your phone calls too. And you have me, Kim Commando. All right. A young woman by the name of Hadley Monroe. She survived what could only be described as a complete and utter nightmare. After meeting a guy on Tinder, what started as an innocent picnic turned into be a fight for her life. The man, Ken Fairbank, who she trusted to meet, attacked Hadley, leaving her with injuries that required 60 stitches on her face alone. And despite everything, she did manage to escape. So she's here and she's bravely going to tell us her story. Now, this should come as a warning to anyone meeting anyone online. And I will forewarn you, this is a very, very difficult story to hear, but it's very important for you to do so. All right, Hadley, thanks for being here. Let's start at the beginning.
It was in late February of 2022 is when we matched.
And Was there anything in particular that you remember? Like, you're like, oh, like, this looks like a great guy?
No, I do remember his profile didn't have a lot of like face pictures of himself, and I didn't really think anything of it because a lot of the profiles on there are like that these days.
So it just seemed like, okay, just like an average guy that's just like, okay, yeah, all right, he might be okay.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like stand out or anything, but you just swipe through as you look and see, and then you just start talking to people.
And then how long did you talk to him or chat with him online before you actually met him in person?
So we met in person on May 10th. So from late February until May is how long we talked. And then May 10th was the first day that we met up in person. But before that, we had been chatting over Discord, like voice calls, like a total of 24 hours of talking before in-person meet.
So before you met in person, you kind of felt like you probably knew the guy.
Yeah, because we had done a lot of chatting. We played games together, that kind of stuff.
And then what happened when you met him in person for that? And what'd you guys do the first time you met?
So the first time we met up, we actually met up at IKEA. And so this is down in like Sandy, Utah. And we walked around all of IKEA. We went to the aquarium down there. There's an arcade we went to. I ended up going over to his house and meeting his mom and dad.
Wow. That's
so
a big...
it was like a full 9 hours of us together.
Wow. That's a long date. And that's a big date to meet mom and dad.
Yeah.
And did anything seem strange then? Or you were just like, well, this might be something?
I didn't really think much of it. I was like, I'm happy to be here, just hanging out, getting to know a person in real life rather than over a screen. So.
Okay, so the first date goes pretty good. I mean, 9 hours meeting mom and dad. Okay. And then Kane obviously asked you out for a second date. And what happened with when he was asking you? I mean, did he explain like, we're going to go on a picnic, and how did that come about?
We were on the phone, and he was like, we should have a second date at this place because it was between both of our houses, so it would have been like a pretty equal drive. Mm-hmm. And he suggested the place. He actually made a whole PowerPoint presentation about what we were going to do there, which is so weird. And so we had planned like picnic food and everything.
So wait a minute. So he did like a PowerPoint presentation about how great this picnic was going to be, and it was halfway. And did he have like what you guys would be doing and what you guys would be eating and drinking or anything like that?
Yeah, exactly. It was literally just like clip art of us two and like picnic food and his car and just like what items we were each going to bring. Like I was going to bring the rolls for the sandwiches or things like that.
It's kind of cute, right? I mean...
Actually, I did find it.
Wait, what kind of park was this?
So it's called Mueller Park. It's in Bountiful. It's a very pretty place. A lot of people go hiking there.
And so you met him at the park. Take us back that day. What happened?
So everything seemed fine. Since there's two separate parking lots, I had parked in the first one. That's where I had met him up there. We ate these cakes that we had, and then we got into his car and he drove us up to the second parking lot. And we just like hung out in his car and talked. We went up the trailhead for a minute, and then we had our picnic at around, I think, 4 or 5 p.m., where we ate sandwiches and everything. And I remember being at this picnic table and looking over and seeing this group of people. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really think anything of it at the time, but I'm glad that I noted it. Because then after we were done eating, we went back up to the parking lot, and I don't remember getting back into his car at all. It's like this blank spot in my memory. And I remember opening my eyes and there was a knife at my throat.
Oh my gosh.
So he was like holding me down. He was like straddling me almost. And I had a wound on the right side of my throat from where he had tried to stab me. And then at one point he had it at my chest and was trying to push it down through my chest.
Oh my gosh.
And this is when I grabbed it with my left hand and I kept holding it away from myself, and I just immediately started kicking, fighting back. And I was I was yelling at him. I was pretty obsessed, swearing at him. I was like, are you kidding me? Why are you doing this? Like, I met your parents. I remember him telling me that my blood was making the knife really slippery, as he like looked me dead in my eyes and said that. So after I sat up and I was like, I met your mom. Like, why are you doing this? And he just stopped. And he was like, you're right. Go ahead and leave. And I couldn't open the car door because my left hand, the last 3 fingers, the tendons were so damaged I couldn't move them. And there was just blood everywhere. And so he was like, oh, can you not open the door? Is it locked? And he opens the door for me. And I get out, and I'm looking at him, and he hands me the knife that he had just used and says, okay, go. So I turn around, and I start running towards this group of people that I remembered seeing. And I was, like, yelling. I thought I was yelling, at least, like, help me, he's trying to kill me. And I didn't know this, but he was following me, just walking right behind me, chasing me, essentially. And as I got up to the group of people, there's a little bridge you have to cross. And as I was crossing the bridge, I felt like I got kicked in the back. But it was, in fact, him stabbing me in the back with a second knife he had.
Oh, Hadley.
And so this group of people, it's actually 10 elder missionaries, which crazy. And they, like, separate me and him. And I turn around and I'm staring at him. He's just covered in my blood, and he looks so mad. So then he starts to walk away. He doesn't run, he walks.
Okay, Hadley, I hate to do this, but we have to take a commercial break. So when we come back, I want to know more about your escape and other details. And again, thank you for telling your story. And everybody stay with us because we got a lot more to cover here on the Kim Commando Show. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise, home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim. All right, if you're just joining us, I want you to meet Hadley Monroe. She's a young woman whose story is nothing short of a living nightmare. After connecting with a man on Tinder, what started out as a simple picnic date turned into a fight for her life. Now, Kane is someone who she met, she felt she could trust, and he attacked her, left her with injuries severe enough to need 60 stitches on her face alone. Wow. But despite everything, Hadley found the strength to escape. So, Hadley, thanks for hanging over the break, and we really appreciate you being here.
And I actually met up with the missionaries afterwards, and they told me that he gave them a peace sign with his hands before he finished walking to his car. And luckily, one of them was a retired firefighter EMT, so she immediately started first aid on me. And this is when he left the park and attacked the other lady.
Attacked another woman?
Yeah, so she was 64 at the time. She was leaving a wedding, and he just came up to her because she looked vulnerable and started stabbing her in the back and attacking her.
Did she die?
She almost died twice, but she's still alive.
Wow. God, what a trauma.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, I that's something that you just, like, I imagine it's really difficult for you to say, okay, that happened, let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, it took a long time. I've coped with it through humor a lot. I make a lot of dark jokes about it just because that's the way I am. And, I mean, it's definitely I was 18 at the time. I hadn't even graduated high school. And it just kind of like flipped my whole life on its head.
Did he have any history of violence, or did anything on Kane that you were able to find online?
So a lot of what's surrounding this situation is, how can dating apps do better? How can they have a better vetting process? How can they do this? How can they do that? And talking with my prosecutors that handled this case and my victim advocates, in my situation, it wouldn't have changed anything at all, unfortunately. He did not have a history. He was 18. No criminal record, no behavior in school that raised red flags, nothing. It was just, I was the first one he decided to try this out on. The reason why everything's coming forward now is because in June he was sentenced to 18 to life in prison. So now that the case is closed, I am allowed to talk about everything, share details, that kind of stuff. There's no limitations on what I can talk about on my side of things.
So how do you think this has changed you?
I mean, in a way that I'm grateful that it happened to me. And there's a reason why. My mental health was really bad. I wasn't in a good place at all. And I was putting up with a lot of stuff from an ex-boyfriend that I had before this. And so even if there were red flags that he posed that I don't remember, I didn't think anything of it because I thought that I had deserved to be treated whichever way, as long as I was getting the attention from someone. And I think now I would never put up with that. Any red flag, I'm like, no.
I want you to know, I don't know who's listening right now, but I've got millions. And maybe by our conversation that you just planted a single seed in one person, just one person. Because, a lot of victims, they might say, it was my fault. I shouldn't have gone in the car with him. I shouldn't have gone on a picnic. But, you had a lot of flags that told you otherwise, not just the red flags that maybe you didn't see, but, the fact that you did all the right things. You didn't just meet him on Tinder and then go grab coffee 20 minutes later, and who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, exactly.
So what is it that you want other people to learn from your experience?
I mean, I think it's just, I never brought him around my friends, and I think bringing new people around your friends is so important because they might act civil when the other person is there, but as soon as they leave, they're not going to sugarcoat it for you. They're going to tell you how they see it, which I think is extremely important because ultimately your friends want the best for you. So they're not going to be like, oh, yeah, he was fine, when in fact he was being a little creepy, or he was not treating you okay in front of your friends, or he was acting a little weird. And so I think another thing is gut instinct. Obviously, nothing raised any flags like that for me at the time. But if you have a feeling where you're like, oh, I'm a little nervous, this doesn't feel right, don't go. Nothing you miss is worth your life.
I don't know if anybody's told you that lately, but I am woman to woman. I can't imagine what you've gone through. I've never, fortunately, gone through anything like that before. But just know that, it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right.
Yes, I am. Life has been really good lately, so.
I'm glad to hear that. Hadley, thanks again for your time. Okay, after all that, we have to switch gears a little bit. All right, this Veterans Day, we honor the brave men and women who served in our military. They are truly the definition of duty, courage, and selflessness. And as you spend time with loved ones or enjoy a moment of quiet, take a second to think about everyone who has served and continues to serve to make our freedom possible. Their sacrifices are woven into our history, and they deserve to always be remembered and acknowledged. I mean, I have said so many times that without our military, I would not be able to do what I do, is to sit here and as a woman to grow a business and run a business and be able to speak freely about everything that's happening in my area of expertise. Now, if you have a veteran's medal that's been lost, damaged, or even stolen, the U.S. military offers replacements. You want to go to the National Archives at archives.gov and then search for Veterans Service Records. Once again, that's archives.gov. archives.gov. All right, still to come, we have your phone calls. We have to get to all those, as well as a scam that's spreading online that you need to know about here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, Dr. Moore. Hey, you're back from Dallas, Texas. Glad to have you.
Hey, how are you, Kim?
I'm
great. To talk to you again.
Oh, my pleasure. What's going on?
First of all, do you want to hear a joke that's kind of in your wheelhouse?
Oh, for sure. You know that.
Clean. Okay. So, you're probably familiar with the guitar company Fender. Mm-hmm. And one of their great guitars is the Fender Stratocaster. So Cubans are going to make a knockoff called the Stratocastro.
Oh. Oh, that wasn't me groaning because I was hungry, by the way. Okay. But I might use that. I might, you know what? I might steal that from you, and I will give you full credit when and if I do.
Please do. All right. So I've been on LinkedIn for a very long time. I see that you're in there as well. And for the first several years, most of the connections that I made were other professionals, other colleagues, and both military and in the dental world and so forth. And then the last couple of years, I started getting connections from people who, and they all have pretty women in the profile picture, and they claim to be medical design specialists and investors, that kind of thing. And I talked to a couple and then realized that they're kind of not what they say they are. And then recently I got a deal on LinkedIn that said, hey, we've got a biomedical supply company. We're going to start focusing on dental implants. Your profile looks great. Would you be interested in hearing more about it? And I said, certainly, I'd like to hear more about it if you want, want me on the board or something.
Sure.
And then both this group and then some of those other people I've talked to are like, well, let's go to Google Chat or WhatsApp to talk more. And of course, that tells me it's probably a scam. But what I don't understand is, what is the end goal of getting somebody over to Google Chat or WhatsApp and not just staying on the other platform?
Because WhatsApp or Google Chat or Telegram, Signal, whatever it may be, it provides end-to-end encryption, which makes it really difficult to trace the conversations if you ever wanted to. So it adds another layer of anonymity to the scammer as they are grooming you to steal your money. Because at some point, in order for you to come on the board, you're going to want to make an investment, right, doctor? Yes, of course you will. Okay. And so, because don't you believe in the product? So,
right.
it's just a scammer's haven. And so this is really like a big red flag, right? Is that anytime they want you to move off the platform onto another form of communication, that's when you have to sit back and you say, no, this is just not right. And but you already saw it. All the pretty girls, right? Saying,
right.
You know what? I got something for you. And you're like, Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we're not talking about those implants. Sorry, honey bunny. But so if they are moving you off the platform, I'm really glad that you called though, because I'll tell you, this is something that a lot of people are wondering too, I'm sure, because it's like, what's going on and why are they doing this? Yeah, it's just so that it's all encrypted and it's going to be hard to do any type of backtracking in case they ever wanted to maybe find out who that was. I'm talking about the authorities. Doc, thanks for your call today. And, the bad joke. Let's see, Judy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. You're up next.
Hi. In 2003, I had the opportunity to be co-pilot of a World War II trainer plane. And
how fun.
I know. And they presented me with the photos or video on a 3.5-inch diskette. And nobody has diskette readers anymore. And I'd like to find out if you know how or have the means or the name of a place I could send it and they could retrieve the information that's on the diskette.
It's fun. Did you just run across the diskette when you were cleaning up?
I've had it for years and just kept moving it from place to place. And then finally I came across the idea of maybe Kim knows how to, what company to send it to, or I'd love to see the photos because we did some fun aerobatics like barrel rolls and stuff like that. So
how fun. That's so fantastic. And I'd love for you to be able to relive these great memories. You got a couple of ways to do it. Number one is that, believe it or not, you can still buy a 3.5-inch floppy disk drive. Yes, right? They sell them on Amazon. They're about $18 and they work via USB. And so they'll connect right up to your laptop. And then you could just put in the disk and then you can just transfer that information just right over. And they sell for about, I don't know, $15, $17, somewhere in that range. So it's relatively inexpensive. Now, if the diskette is damaged or maybe the footage has degraded over time, that's when you might want to look at a transfer service. And like, for example, there's Legacy Box, there's iMemories, there's Scan Cafe. We'll send you a list of these that may also, that you basically mail them the disk and then for whatever they're charging these days, they put the video up in the cloud or in the photos up in the cloud and then you get it back. I have used iMemories and both Legacy Box to get some, what I would say, older materials and media and bring it into the digital age. And both of these did a fabulous job. But hang on the line, Judy. So we're going to send you a link to that floppy disk drive and then these other companies. Does that help you out today?
Sure, yes. And I'll probably take the
awesome.
least expensive option just because I would only get one use out of that diskette drive.
Yeah, that's probably true. So you probably just want to mail it off to somebody. But it's always good to know that option is there for you, especially if you ever have any old data disk laying around. You're like, hey, what the heck was on that? Well, there's always a way. There's normally a way, rather, I should say, to connect that drive up to a relatively modern laptop by just using the USB drive. Judy, thank you so much for your call. Hey, by the way, if you're just too shy to come on a big-time radio show and podcast, I get that. Love to get your questions. Head over to Kimanda.com, and there's a link at the top of the page that says Ask Kim. All right, I only like to shop on well-known and well-respected websites. And some people say, oh my gosh, you're hurting small businesses. That's not true. I mean, what I'm trying to do is to protect my business and yours. Now, this holiday shopping scam is spreading across the United States. It starts when you're checking out a shopping website and suddenly a card declined message pops up. And you're like, what? It was declined? Card was probably not declined. You're probably shopping on a scammy website that looks like a major shopping website. And the scammers are hoping that you're going to put in your credit card number again. This way, what? You get charged twice. And you're probably not going to receive anything at all. So bottom line here, never shop with your debit card. Always make sure you have that HTTPS and you're at the right website, okay? And always make sure that you check your credit card statements too. And don't forget to enter to win the brand new iPhone at winfromkim.com.
Thanks for listening to The Kim Komando Show. Here's hour 2.
Okay, so imagine this. You're setting up for game night, tossing in those chicken tenders and fries into the air fryer. Well, while you're doing that air fryer might be dipping into your data. What? Yes, some popular air fryers from communist China, brands like Xiaomi, Aegistar, Kosori, they come with apps that do more than just crank up the crispiness. They actually collect your info, they track your location, and they record what you say. I was sitting there and I was reading this and like, oh, all the compelling conversations that we have around our air fryer. Have you ever noticed when the person just gets an air fryer, they cannot stop talking about it? Oh my gosh, we can air fry everything. We can put in chicken and pork and salmon and brownies and tater tots. It'd be amazing. And all that's going right back to communist China. And somebody there's going like, Boy, those Americans, they sure do eat a lot of junk. And on that happy note, welcome. I'm America's beloved digital goddess, Kim Commando, here with you. And I am here to always make sure that you are tech ahead and never left tech behind in the dust, because after all, it's the biggest show, the best show, the most trusted show, the award-winning show on all things digital. You can find me on over 420 top stations across the United States. We're streaming in your favorite radio app, and you can always get the Kim Commando Show as a podcast too. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for Commando with a K, of course. And I want to tell you that great sponsors help to make this show possible, and I always negotiate these wonderful money-saving deals with them. And to see all the deals and get the special links that you need, just go to one spot. That's commando.com/sponsors. And I know that you have a few questions for me, and that's why I'm sitting right here, right now, ready for you. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. And let me tell you, T-Mobile's advanced 5G network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. Alrighty, then every single day I dive into at least 35, 40 different websites to make sure that we know exactly what's going on. And here are the top 5 things you need to know about. I'm going to start with number 1, Travel Tuesday. What is Travel Tuesday? Yes, if you're looking to book a trip on the cheap, this is the day to do it. You may not be aware of this, but back in 2017, some travel apps noticed that airlines and hotels are throwing in special discounts on this particular Tuesday right after Cyber Monday. You want to mark your calendars for December 3rd. So as more people found out, Travel Tuesday took off. Searches for deals are jumping like 500%. So you'll see everything from 40% off flights to major markdowns on cruises, hotels. And so if you want to get the best deals, you want to start early because the best deals can vanish. Set alerts with apps like Google Flights or Hopper so you're notified at the moment that the prices drop. And you want to stay flexible with your dates. Again, you want to mark your calendar for Travel Tuesday, and that's December 3rd. Moving on to number 2, you probably never heard of a company called Kochava. It's a big data broker. It's one of the world's biggest ones, as a matter of fact. The company was caught sorting hundreds of millions of people in the U.S. by their race, gender, age, politics, sexual health, marital status, mental health, special needs conditions, and more. And the FTC says Kochava was collecting customers' precise location from an identifier on the phones. And then the company used that identifier to follow movements over a day, a week, a month, even a year. Okay. And that location data was accurate, oh my gosh, down to the room. So now they're fighting with the FTC. Gosh, those data brokers. So much data is being collected about us. Moving on to number 3, let me tell you, you cannot be arrested with an email or a text message or a phone call. And this is the latest scam sweeping the country. It sounds nuts, but people are actually falling for it. So if you receive an email or a text with a warrant for your arrest, along with a convenient way to pay the fine by credit card, guess what? The whole thing's phony. It's a fake. The same with scammers posing as agents for the IRS, the Department of Homeland Security, the United States Customs. These characters usually have an accent, try to intimidate and frighten you by claiming that unless you pay some sort of fine right now, agents are on their way to arrest you. Bottom line, no law enforcement agency works this way. No one calls, no one emails. Okay. No law enforcement gives you a way to pay your fines with a credit card over the phone. Let me tell you, if you ever get arrested, you will know it. Moving on to number 4, Apple Intelligence. If you're using an iPhone 15 Pro, 15 Pro Max, or any version of the iPhone 16, now you have Apple's first artificial intelligence that they're calling Apple Intelligence. Now, the big deal is it doesn't rely on the cloud or remote servers for mundane tasks like reminders or your calendar or your contacts. Siri actually interfaces directly with ChatGPT. And if you have Apple Intelligence right now, you may be wondering, like, does it really make my phone that much better? Okay. According to all the advertising about it, it says that basically you're going to be a better worker. It can summarize your email, your notifications. It can proofread. It can even rewrite things. But who does all that on an iPhone anyway? I don't know. I think it's just a graduated Siri. I'm not calling it really Apple Intelligence. Oh, by the way, Microsoft's Copilot, they're renaming it. What do you think it's going to be called? You ready for it? Okay, this is earth-shattering. This is groundbreaking. Microsoft's name for Copilot. The new name is, ready for it, Microsoft Intelligence. Yes, they worked so hard on that. And finally, this coming in at number 5, this season's top tech is not going to fit under the tree, and it's not going to be able to be brought down the chimney. And it may barely fit right inside your home. Do you know what it is? The top gifts this year are big screen TVs, 97 inches or larger. They're called XXL screens. Of course they are. Okay. And all those large flat screens bought during the peak of COVID, they look really small when compared to these giant screens. The icing on the cake is that all this is coinciding with prices of these XXL screens falling sharply, only about half of what we paid this time last year. So they cost anywhere between $1,700 and $3,000 with 8 to 10 years of trouble-free service. Wow. Hey, I don't know. Did you hear about the guy who took his TV back to Costco? We were talking about this the other day on a podcast. The TV was like 22 years old, and he hauled that thing right into Costco and said, it broke. And you know what? They gave him a refund because, Costco always has that great refund policy. But as it turns out with electronics, they changed that to be 90 days in 2007. So this guy's like sitting there with this old TV that doesn't work anymore. Remember, they used to look like this big piece of furniture? Yeah, Costco took it back. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about how you can make a secret emoji emergency code for you and your family. Is it really a good idea to hand over your email address for discounts? And then there's a secret app privacy report you need to know about. And of course, we have all of your fantastic phone calls. And you have me, Kim Commando. I'm giving away an iPhone 16 with Apple Intelligence so you can see how great it is. Kinda. Okay. Go to winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. No purchase required. Winfromkim.com. All right. Let's see. How about we start with Rick in Portland, Maine? Hi there, Rick.
Hey, Kim. How are you?
Good. What's going on?
Well, I have a whole bunch of audio tapes. And of course, I love your show, and I've been listening for a long time. And I thought, well, you would have the answer to this. I'm looking to transcribe some audio tapes that my uncle, the Lutheran pastor, who was in the same parish for 47 years. He was born before the turn of the 20th century. And when he was 80 years old, his oldest son recorded a whole bunch of family history that he had an excellent memory.
Wow. And, that's awesome. Isn't that great? Oh, that's so awesome.
Oh, yeah. And dictated all this stuff on tape. But the problem, of course, is that even though he never left the country, he had a fairly heavy accent. It was he didn't have problems with V's and W's like Germans do, but he had a heavy, strange German-like accent, and these tapes are not great quality. And so that's what I'm a little concerned about. And also beyond that, of course, he was. He did all this stuff for the family, but also my wife has some of a lot of her father, who was an Episcopal priest. We got a lot of pastors in the family, and he left his sermons to my wife, and we want to do sort of the same thing with her as well. And but back to my uncle. His father was a Lutheran pastor. Used to start his first parish. Came from Poland. Back in the 1890s, and his first parish was a German parish out on the plains of North Dakota. Wow,
that is so awesome. I love that. I love that. I can just see, I don't know, for some reason I'm seeing a picture of the guy. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, he was a kind of a little guy in stature, my grandfather, but he had a big beard, and he was an old country kind of guy, back from Poland, but he came here, and his first parish was out with horse and buggy, and the horse knew the way home, and all this stuff. So my uncle had this history goes back to 1870 when my grandfather was born, all the way to 1979.
Wow, that's God bless. Okay, so what we need to do is I'm going to put together some links for you as far as the right device. So that this way we have links to some of them over at Commando too. So the right gadget that you're going to put the cassette in, and then bring that audio cassette into your Mac or Windows PC. Which one do you have?
I have a PC.
Okay, so bring it into Windows, and then you can use recording software. Audacity is the one that we use. And so you're going to record that cassette, and then it's going to be saved as an MP3 or a WAV file. And then there are so many great tools that you could use, but then I would feed that into Otter.ai. And Otter is really good because you can also train it along the way. So if there are certain words that you know what he meant, but Otter won't, you can fix that word, and then it'll go into its language base.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, Otter's not free. Just to tell you right now, there is a free tier, but the thing that I also like about it is that if there were multiple people in the room, so that it will say person 1, person 2, person 1, person 2, and then you can just say person 1 is Bob, person 2 is my grandfather, whatever his grandpa's name is, and then it will fix it all throughout, and then you have a full transcription of everything that's said. And you can save that as a Word doc, a Google Doc, a PDF, whatever it may be.
Okay, yeah.
And so, and then you can create a book from that. You could make YouTube videos. I mean, it's just really, really awesome. It's really great. I mean, that's really a lot of fun. Now, if for some reason that this is not working for you, is that there's a service called Rev, R-E-V. Okay. That's a human transcription service.
Okay.
So if for some reason that Otter's like, I have no clue what this guy's saying. I have
that could be the case.
No idea. It's expensive. It's about $1 a minute.
Wow.
So, but you know what? This is priceless what you have.
It is, yeah.
So if you're looking at $60 for an hour, whatever it may be, and you can always negotiate with Rev, if it's like 5 hours, see if you can get them down a little bit. But you're going to just get a USB cassette converter, and that's probably the easiest way. And again, Audacity is fun because it's free. It's been around forever, and those of us who are in audio land. You have to learn to love and appreciate the free version. Of course, Adobe has its own version of that, but it really would be something that you just a treasured legacy that you're sitting on. It'd be so fabulous. I think we have some links to some USB audio converters on the website, and so let me see if we can put those together for you. Shoot you out some links, and again, that's Otter.ai. There are other services. Otter's just the one that I know and I use. And also Rev, R-E-V, is for that human transcription. And keep me posted, Rick. I want to know how it's all going. And thanks for your call. All right. A recent LendingTree survey says that 60% of Americans are tipping more. Yeah? Why? Because of the iPad screen. And I don't know if you noticed, but last time I went to get my nails done, the tip was 20%, 25%, or 30%. And another time I went, it was 25%, 30%, and 50% on a tip. I'm like, what is going on? Here's the thing. Psychologists have found that middle number, when you are looking at an iPad screen, that's the one that you're most likely to hit. Because you don't want to be too low, you don't want to be too high. And my one case was like 30%. I'm like, no. Remember, you can always write in your own tip on that iPad screen. Stay right where you are. We have more of your phone calls coming up. You don't want to miss. All right, we have our weekly security tip coming up. We're going to talk about email addresses and discounts, and then later on, how to see a secret app privacy report on your phone. And of course, we have your phone calls, but I want to pass along a really important family alert, emergency type of idea that you might want to do. Because have you ever found yourself in a tight spot and you thought like, oh gosh, I can't call, and how do I get out for help discreetly? Well, with emojis, there's a way. So let's say your teenager's at a party and they need a secret way to let you know that they want to be picked up, no questions asked. Or maybe you're in a situation where you need to quickly alert a friend or a family member that you're in trouble. With a preset emoji code, you can send out a quick, come get me now, like an SOS beacon. So sit down over the weekend, make up your codes, keep them a secret. Maybe it's a cloud emoji that means like I need some help, or a car emoji that says, come pick me up. Or maybe it's a cat emoji if you say I'm having a panic attack. Whatever the case, this is a private way of letting anyone that you know you need help discreetly. So it's just really something to think about. And when you have that chat, don't be just saying like, okay, if you're in trouble, send me a cloud. No, you actually have to like sit down and explain why you're doing this. Let's see. Back to the phones we go. Randy in San Antonio, Texas. Hi, Randy.
My sister and I are 64. We're trying to take care of our 89-year-old mom who lives, basically by herself since my dad passed.
Okay.
And she actually lives with my mom, but she works pretty much full time, so she's never home all day to just keep an eye on mom and what she's doing. Well, she's had an iPhone 11 for a number of years. She's gotten a little bit competent in how to make calls and, Google and answer her email and stuff, or text messages especially. So the problem is that, she's got a failing memory. She's pretty strong-willed, and she's very impulsive when it comes to purchases. Oh, I want one of those, or that's a great deal, or something. So her credit card has been compromised 3 times in the past, where when we get the bill, you see a whole bunch of charges that she can't remember ever making. And, we can't remember how it happened or got there, whatever.
Okay.
And generally it's not for product going to her. They're just going, services or travel or something. So, we cancel the card, get a new one issued, and we start all over. Well, part of the complication is because she can't remember to mail out her snail mail bills, which she likes to do with an old-fashioned check because she's old school. Mm-hmm. We convinced her to put a bunch of her reoccurring bills, like, phone charges and things on her phone, credit card rather, so that they'll auto pay and she won't get the late charges and all the fees and all that stuff. Well, she was the latest incident was about a week ago, where my sister came home and she was on the phone frantic talking to somebody about how her credit card had been compromised and how they were going to try to correct the problem and stuff. And then when my sister got on the phone and started talking to this person right away, she suspected it wasn't really from the bank and the credit card fraud department. Oh. And they said, oh, your mother's already verified herself with her credit card information, and, we're trying to work on this now and stuff. So she asked a few more questions, and the guy hung up on her. So then she called the credit card company, talked to their fraud department, and said, nope, we'd never do that. That's not us. I'm sure it was a phishing incident. And then they went and actually looked at her account, and somebody had already charged $15,000 on her credit card.
Geez. Oh, my gosh.
I mean, in those minutes. So they canceled it, fraud, issue a new card. So as I look at the situation, we try to always school mom. Anything that comes to you, be suspicious. There's no time.
Let's talk about what we can do with mom, okay?
Okay.
She has an iPhone, correct?
Yes, I think it's an iPhone 11.
Okay. Well, what I would do, and it sounds kind of strange, but I would put parental controls on her phone. She doesn't need to know. Okay. She's not going to know that's there. And so there's what's called content and privacy restrictions. It's under settings and then screen time. But that's where you can restrict access to websites and apps and in-app purchases. Okay. You can also set communication limits under the same spot. So you can set up her contacts so that only you, your sister, nieces, nephews, grandkids, whoever it may be, that they are the ones who are allowed to make that phone ring. And so this way we're going to prevent that from even happening. You could do the same thing under text messages. It's called filter unknown senders. So that is another way that we're going to lock down the phone. They say, I think you just have to go in there and we're just going to lock this thing down. Okay. You can also silence unknown callers. That's another option. Now, let me tell you about the
silence or silent?
Silence.
Okay.
Yeah, unknown callers. And so anytime if a call comes in, it's not on her contact list, it's going to go straight to voicemail. And the downside with that is that if she's expecting a call from a doctor who's not in her contacts, then it's going to go straight to voicemail.
Okay.
Now, as far as the credit cards, you can set it up so that either you or your sister gets any type of alerts on her credit cards, as well as she does. And so, say if the credit card's used without it being physically present, you could get a text or an email. as well as your sister. You just have to just have your mom put either one of you or both on her accounts if you're not already. I would also set a limit on that credit card, like $2,000. Okay. I mean, she doesn't need a $15,000 line of credit. If she's going to spend 15 grand, she needs to come to you guys and say, and so we're just gonna limit that. There's also some virtual card numbers you can use too, but sometimes that becomes kind of a pain in the neck. But I think, set up fraud alerts. Make sure that you freeze her credit as well.
Yes, we did that.
Okay, so we just went through all this with an iPhone. I want you to look at a product called the Grand Pad. She has an iPhone. The Grand Pad is a tablet, but it comes with text support. So if she needs help during the day, or if she's wondering if something is a scam, she can call them and say, "Is this a scam?" And that might be better because remember, she's still your mom, right? I mean, she's still your mom. She's still the person in charge. Okay, she doesn't want to call you to ask you if this is a scam. Okay, so the Grand Pad is like $300. And then there's a monthly subscription fee of like $40 or something like that. But it's especially designed for older adults. Just one more thing that I'm going to leave you with is that you said that your sister sometimes at lunchtime is trying to find your mom. She can't find your mom because your mom can't find the phone and whatever it may be. I don't know if you heard me talk about the Echo Show, the Amazon Echo Show.
No, I didn't.
The Amazon Echo Show is fabulous for caregivers because you can put this, it's like a 10-inch frame or 8-inch, whatever size you want to get. And so your sister's at lunch and she can say, "Alexa, drop in on mom." That frame that was showing the weather, news, or whatever, all of a sudden goes gray. And then like Star Trek, your sister's there in the room. Say, "Oh, hi, Mom."
Oh, wow. That's cool.
"Hi, Mom. How are you?" Okay. And your mom doesn't have to do or say anything.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I had that with my mother. It was fabulous because at any given moment, I could just drop in and then I could allow family members to drop in too and just have an instant conversation without her having to pick up a phone. So I know I just passed along a whole bunch of stuff and it was probably a lot to absorb. So if you have any questions afterwards, Randy, you need help with anything else, just give me a shout back, okay? And tell Mom I said hi. Let's do our security tip brought to us by Total AV. All right, we all love to save money. And we are sitting here like we're saying like, okay, so how can I get a discount? About 58% of apps will share your name, address, email, and phone number with third parties. A quarter pass on unique device IDs. 33% share financial information like purchase history. 28%, they're giving away location data. I'm talking about shopping apps. So if you want to keep your info private and still score deals, what you want to do is use your office number for, say, loyalty programs, a disposable email address for signups. You can just stick to stores that don't need loyalty cards like Trader Joe's or Walmart. And don't forget printable coupons on grocery sites. Still a solid option. I know you forgot about those. All right, that secret app privacy report on your phone. You're going to love seeing this. Well, I don't know if you're going to love it. You may be shocked and you may be scared, but I'm going to tell you about it. And of course, we have your phone calls here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, Kurt in Asheville, Tennessee.
Oh, it's so great talking to you. I've waited 20 years.
Where you been?
Hanging out.
Okay.
And you were everything smart, beautiful, and I always wanted somebody like that, and I met her. Her name's Frida. It's my wife.
Oh, nice.
I love her. So I've got this magic pocket, and I wear carpenter pants. It's got the side pockets.
Mm-hmm.
I put my phone in there, and I've got the Pro. I always get the Pro Max because I like the bigger screen and everything. So I can't put a case on it and stick it in my pocket. But when I put it in there by itself, it mysteriously dials people. It'll text people. It'll launch audio. I mean, from my audio book. And I mean, it's crazy.
And you're like, stop that.
FBI
Stop it.
NSA wants to use my pocket when they can't break into an Apple. I've got the solution.
Just wear carpenter pants.
No, my carpenter pants.
Oh, just yours. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you a question. Are you sure you're not crazy? I'm just wondering. Okay, so
A little.
oh, I know. I am too. It's okay. It comes with the territory. All right, so here's some things that you have to check. Under settings, under accessibility, I just want to make sure, just make sure they haven't turned on pocket mode, because that makes it makes the screen more sensitive to movements. You also may have turned on lift to wake, tap to wake. Do you have your Face ID set up on that?
Yes.
Oh, you do, and it's still doing this?
That's what boggles my mind. And you need a passcode to get into it.
Wow. Okay. You got something turned on. Something's turned on. I would look, let me just tell you where I would look. If I was sitting right there next to you, I'd get into settings and accessibility. And there's something in there. Maybe it's guided access, lift to wake, tap to wake, whatever it may be. And then also make sure that it's turned on, that you do need to have your facial ID turned on and put in the PIN. You can always get a case that you can wear on your belt. I know you look like a dork. Everybody looks like a dork if you've got a phone on your belt. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I know that a lot of you guys like to wear your phone on your belt, but you could always get.
Well, the problem is I have stuff on my belt. Like I keep my Leatherman, flashlight, stuff like that, and it's more convenient to shove it down in my carpenter pants.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah, for sure. But I really think, you have something turned on, Kurt, something in, like I said, in the accessibility, look under guided access, like lift to wake, tap to wake. If I can think of anything else, Kurt, I'm going to put that in their newsletter. So make sure, if you haven't already, sign up for our free newsletter. And thanks for your call today. Let's see. We have time. Monique in Portland, Maine. Hi, Monique.
Hello. I would like to type a diary, so I need a device that's extremely secure and is hack-free. And the only thing I could come up with in my head was the old word processors.
And so why are you concerned about being hacked and that stuff with your diary?
Well, because I'm a very private person, so I don't want anybody to read it.
And then, so what's the purpose of the diary? Is it self-healing, so you can write your own thoughts down? Is that what it is?
Yes.
When I go through traumatic times, I find if I can get my thoughts and feelings out of my head onto a piece of paper, it actually helps me deal with stuff. So I totally get where you're coming from. And it can be very, very personal, that you don't want anybody just to pick up and read, because you are sharing your innermost thoughts, right? Crazy.
Exactly.
All right. So, you can use Microsoft Word or Apple Pages. And there are certain things that you can do to make sure that document remains secure. It has built-in encryption, and so that this way it makes it difficult for anybody to access contents of whatever may be written in that diary. You want to be able to store it securely. You can always put a copy of it inside Apple iCloud or Google Drive, and again, all that's encrypted along the way. Obviously, you can put a password on this document as well. And make it a really, really strong password, not beautiful Monique in Portland, Maine. That's not a good password, even though you are beautiful and you're from Portland, Maine. And always keep your computer secure. So you want to make sure you have security software, antivirus software like Total AV, the firewalls are turned on. And so with this, you have some sense of security that whatever you're writing can have multiple passwords. And on your computer itself, you need to have a password so somebody can even sign into your computer.
Okay.
And so you're going to number one, you're going to make sure that your computer is locked down in and of itself. And then with the document, once you use it, has built-in encryption. Just do a search and say Word or Apple Pages. Every program now has its own search, and we'll pull up the steps on how to encrypt a document. And again, make sure that you use really, really strong passwords, something that nobody would ever guess. And Monique, thank you so much for your call today. All right. If you're wondering what apps are doing with your permissions and data, that's where you can actually check it out. On your iPhone, it's called the App Privacy Report. It shows how often apps will access your camera or microphone. It also flags when an app might be sharing your data with third parties. Team Android, you got the same thing. It's called Privacy Dashboard. Okay, so on iPhone, app Privacy Report. Team Android, the Privacy Dashboard. And don't forget to enter to win that brand new iPhone 16 Pro right now. Head over to winfromkim.com.
Thank you for listening to The Kim Commando Show. Here's Hour 3.
Okay, take a guess. How many words do you have in your own mental dictionary? Even the dirty words, they actually count. Well, researchers found that the average 20-year-old American knows around 42,000 words. By age 60, it's 48,000 words. Wow, isn't that something? One study found that when you look at an image, you select the word for it within 200 milliseconds. That's just crazy. Oh, here's one for the kiddos on that note. What do you call a dinosaur with a great vocabulary? What do you call a dinosaur with a great vocabulary? A thesaurus. Oh, I know that one was bad. All right, get set. We are already primed and ready to go to be tech ahead and never left tech behind in the dust. Because after all, that's my job. I'm Kim Commando, your beloved digital goddess. You just tapped into the best show, the biggest show, the award-winning show on all things digital. You can find me on your local radio station across the country. We're also streaming in your favorite radio app. And you can get the Kim Commando Show as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for my last name, Commando. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. Alrighty then, every single day I drop by at least 35, 40, sometimes even 50 different sources to make sure that I'm up to date with what's going on in the tech world. And here are 5 things you need to know what's happening right now. And we're going to start with the most expensive website name ever sold. Are you ready? Do you know what it was? Make a guess. Any idea? Cars.com. It sold for $872 million. Why didn't I buy that? Back in 2014. Well, not when it was that expensive, when it was first came out, like in the 90s. Well, this week, OpenAI bought Chat.com. So when you go to Chat.com, it's going to go to ChatGPT. So how much do you think that sold for? Well, it sold for $15.5 million to HubSpot's co-founder. He said he bought it as a project. He doesn't really want to sell domains, and he doesn't want to give the details, but safe to say it was over what he paid for it. Moving on to number 2, you can't control the weather, but maybe you can control the prices. I mean, let's say you're headed to the store to buy some, a warm pumpkin spice latte. It's freezing outside. What's the price going to be when you get in there? Is the price going to be lower than summer or higher? Higher. Big retailers like Walmart are using weather data to set prices based on real-time weather forecasts. Late last summer, for example, they adjusted the price on sunscreen because we were going to have a colder, wetter fall. So more people are going to be inside, time to drop the prices. So something just to keep in mind that now with dynamic pricing, it can change instantaneously on the shelf, is that you might want to start thinking about, okay, it's cold out. Why is the price higher? What should I be buying now? That sort of thing. Moving on to number 3, there's been a major breakthrough in cybersecurity. It's called Project Zero, Google DeepMind. They created an AI agent that found a big problem. Now, the problem slipped through the best of human cybersecurity researchers. Now, the reason why this is such a big deal, this is the first time that an AI agent found a 0-day vulnerability. That means it hasn't been found, it hasn't been fixed, and hackers can just break in like crazy right now. Wow. So it would take a whole team to find that 0-day. AI did it itself, all by its lonesome. That's all. Right? Crazy. Moving on to number 4, as you make your travel plans for the holidays, hotels are making a big time comeback. Turns out that we're not really digging Airbnb and Vrbo and the millions of folks who are renting their homes anymore. Why? Because hotels are cheaper and there are a lot of great properties to choose from. And you don't have to clean up after yourself or make your bed. And then, of course, there's all the horror stories, the hidden cameras, the creepy hosts. Oh, Remember that one that was secretly living in the attic when a whole bunch of women rented it for like a bachelorette party? Or how about that other home that was infested with bats? Gross. Neighborhoods don't want them nearby. Prices are skyrocketing. So what you want to do is make sure that you are checking for local hotel rates as well as Airbnb and Vrbo, because you may be able to find a deal there. It always reminds me of that movie, The Shining. I mean, really, think about this. If we did The Shining today, it'd be like a family's first Airbnb experience goes very wrong. Okay. Oh, and this finally number 5 coming to us from Dallas. I mean, for who knows how long, people have dangled off skyscrapers, scrubbing away at glass hundreds of feet in the air. And they're there with a harness and a squeegee. Wow, something I would never do. But you know what's really interesting about that? When my grandmother came over from the Ukraine, she didn't speak any English, and she actually started a successful window washing business in downtown Manhattan. So amazing to me. At one point, she had like 40 guys that worked for her. But anyway, moving back to robotics, there's one called Ibex. It's a spider-like window washing robot now being tested in Dallas. Things packed with cameras and sensors. It crawls up buildings like Spider-Man. It scans every inch of glass to make sure that nothing is ever missed. Using cams and sensors, it knows what frames to crawl over. Now, the only human involved is someone on the ground that says that they are babysitting the robot on the skyscraper using a tablet. Oh, I bet you that job has its ups and downs. Womp womp. All right, coming up, we're talking about how AI can save you some time, what to do if your Apple Watch detects sleep apnea, because now you can do that. And what happens if someone's asked you for your phone's PIN? What's the right answer for that? And of course, we have your phone calls, and you have me, Kim Commando. I'm giving away a brand new iPhone 16 Pro right now. You want to go to winfromkim.com. Once again, that's winfromkim.com. You know, aside from the big show here, I host a podcast called Kim Commando Today. You can check it out over at youtube.com/Kim Commando. And I had a chance to sit down with a couple really amazing teens this past week, Kirk and Jacob McKinney. Here, take a listen. How old are you guys?
Yeah, so I'm 21 years old. I turned 21 in August, and my brother.
I'm 19.
Okay. So pretty young.
And so when did you start the business?
So I was 17 years old when we first bought our first truck, and then Jacob was 15.
About 4 years ago.
I didn't buy my first truck until I was in my 30s.
Okay. And even now he's got a car with payments, but that's okay. All right. So tell us how this all got started.
Honestly, it all started on accident. Like, I never knew that I wanted to own my own business like this or be an entrepreneur, and it all kind of happened when I was being curious one day and riding my bike, and I discovered the dump. And when I went to the dump with one of my friends, I saw this set of speakers on the side of a dumpster. So I asked the guy if the speakers worked or if I could take them. He didn't know, so he said I could take them. And when I brought those speakers home, they ended up working, and it was like a $50 pair of speakers that someone just threw away. So I ended up, like, after that day, just going back to the dump over and over and basically collecting audio equipment because I just loved audio equipment and speakers in general. I was very passionate about that type of stuff at the time. And eventually my bedroom turned into like a mini hoarder house because it was just stacked to the ceiling of audio equipment that I found from the dump. But my mom basically said I had to throw it all away, and I couldn't just throw that stuff away. And that's when I realized that I could sell it on Facebook Marketplace. And that's when I sold my first radio for $50. And it was more money than I had made working at my job at the grocery store for $12 an hour. I made like $50 in 30 minutes of work doing something I loved. And that's kind of when it all started.
Okay, so you go from speakers. What was the next big find?
Yeah, so this was also happening around the time of COVID is when I was exploring the dump. So basically what happened was like everything shut down and certain items were higher in demand, like lifting weights and bicycles. So I would go to the dump and find bicycles that people would throw away and weights. and collect those. And for the weights I found, it's like $1 per pound of lifting weights that I would find. So if I found a 225-pound dumbbells, that's $50 right there. And a bicycle, but like you couldn't get bikes anywhere because everyone was home and bored trying to go out and do stuff. And I was selling them on Facebook for like $100 each. And I remember one weekend I sold like $4,000 worth of bicycles during my spring vacation in high school.
Wow.
And you didn't spend any money acquiring anything to this point. It was all just found items.
Yeah, and I didn't even have a car at the time. I would basically like make a pile of this stuff at the dump and then ask my mom to like pick it up for me because it was like 5 minutes from our house. And then as much as I could, I would ride stuff home on my bicycle too. So I'd be like riding down the street with like a full flat screen TV in my hand on my bicycle.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Boy, first of all, kudos to your mom. Because, some moms be like, oh, come on, just, don't be doing this. It's all garbage. Forget about it. But then I bet you she started seeing the potential when you started really making some money doing this.
I need a loan would be our next question.
And so you continued to work the dump, so to speak. And then did you transition into collecting junk?
So basically, what it started off as was a little side hustle where I was selling junk that I would find at the dump. And then after about like a year of doing that, I learned about the junk removal business through being at the dump because the guys who worked there, they really liked me because I would always help them out. And they did junk removal, so they invited me to go help them on a couple jobs. And I saw they were just able to pay me so much and still make so much money on the job. And it wasn't too much different than just transporting items back and forth from the dump. It's like transporting an item from someone's house to the dump now. So I saw that opportunity and saw that it was more scalable and bigger than just selling the junk itself. So that's when, around the time that I ended up buying a pickup truck with my brother, and we basically started removing junk for people. And the guys at the dump are the ones that kind of showed us the ropes of how to start off. And it's a really simple business. But that's how the junk removal end of things started.
So did you advertise?
Yeah, so I would say when we first started, the advertising we were doing was more like, hey, Mom, do you have any friends who needs this? But very quickly we realized that only got us like one job every 2 weeks. And I mean, it kept us somewhat excited, but we still definitely needed more. So from there, we went on like Nextdoor.com and started posting there. And we went on Facebook, started posting on there. And I'd say Nextdoor and Facebook were the two platforms that we really started off with. And that kind of transformed that like one job every 2 weeks into maybe like 2 or 3 jobs a week.
So now, did you turn this into a cycle where I would come to you and say, hey, I need you to get rid of my junk, and I'd give you some money, and that's how you made money. And then you'd take my junk, you'd find the stuff that was good, and you'd resell it, and then you made more money.
Yeah, exactly. So like people, you'd be surprised when people are moving is a lot of the times when they hire us. So if someone's moving and they can't take everything with them, a lot of the times there's really good stuff that they're just throwing away. They need it gone. So we'll be removing like working TVs, really nice $1,000 couches, all this cool stuff. And then we'll be able to go around and sell it. And I mean, from the beginning of our business, working with that $4,000 F-150 that we purchased with selling junk. So literally starting from zero, just selling trash to buy our first truck. We've worked our way up to now having 3 dump trucks and a warehouse where we can sell the junk out of full time.
So how much are you guys making?
Our first year with just the pickup truck, we did $120K in revenue, and it was high profits because we basically did everything ourselves. So we took all that money, reinvested it into our first dump truck, and with the dump truck and the pickup truck, in our second year, we were able to make $430K.
Wow!
And now it's our 4th year business. We've bought a 3rd dump truck because of the increase in volume, and now we're on track to do about 1.2 million this year.
You guys are killing it. This is so amazing.
That's right. They're called the Junk Teens. Wow. What a booming business they have. Again, you can hear the entire chat wherever you get your podcast. Just search for Kim Komando today, or you can watch the interview over at youtube.com/Kim Komando. All right.
I want you to start thinking about how you can use AI in your life. I'm talking about the chatbots like ChatGPT or Microsoft Intelligence or Gemini. You can say things like, hey, my plants look like they're dying. Can you give me some tips? You can also upload an image of that plant. We'll say, hey, I think you're watering it just a little too much. Or you're planning a trip. Oh my gosh, I did this myself this past week. What items can I fit in a suitcase? Upload a picture of the suitcase for, say, a week in Paris or wherever you're going. So start using photos with your prompts for better results. Hey, stay right where you are. We have your phone calls, and you have me you don't want to miss here on The Kim Commander Show. All right, coming up in our health tip, we're going to talk about what happens if your Apple Watch detects sleep apnea. And then later on, someone else asks you for your phone's PIN. And you're like, is it a good idea to give that out or not? And before we get to that, and of course, your wonderful phone calls, let's talk about Google. You know, Google has stepped up all this tracking. And they rolled out a feature called Results About You. It keeps an eye out for any mention of your phone number, your home address, or your email address on the internet. Now, if it finds something, they're going to alert you immediately and then gives you a dashboard so you can see exactly what popped up. And then, of course, from there, you can ask to have it removed. So in case you want to give it a shot, you want to go to myactivity.google.com/results. And then you get a full rundown of what the internet has on you as far as your personal details. myactivity.google.com/results. I know I hate giving out those addresses, but sometimes it's just necessary. Let's see. Tom in St. Louis, Missouri. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Kim. Always good to talk to you and hear what all of our seniors are doing these days, because I am a senior. And as such, you know, I'm always looking to save a couple bucks.
For sure.
And so I'm looking at hearing aids, because I know hearing aids are in my future at some point here. And they're in the thousands of dollars cost.
Mm-hmm.
And then recently I saw about the Apple AirPods Pro 2 can actually act as a hearing aid. And I said, well, that sounds pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is I'm a Pixel person. And I'm wondering, is there any way that I could use the Apple AirPods Pro 2 with my Pixel? Or maybe I've got a lot of friends who have iPhones. And do you think I could borrow theirs to actually set up my AirPods?
Well, let's talk about this. Number one, the AirPods Pro 2, they are phenomenal earbuds. They are. The hearing aid feature is good for mild to moderate hearing loss. So if you have anything more than mild, it's probably not going to do you very good. But it's always worth a shot, especially if you already have the AirPods Pro 2s. Now, the way that they work is that you go on your iPhone and you take a hearing test. And the test does not show up unless you have your iPhone paired with your AirPod Pros 2 and they are in your ears. And then you go into your settings and it says, take a hearing test. So you're like, oh, sweet, I'm going to take a hearing test. So you're going to use your friend's phone in order to do this with your AirPods. Now, that's going to affect your friend's profile, just to let you know. Because all of a sudden now that they're going to have hearing loss, or maybe they didn't have it before. Okay?
Uh-oh, that could be a problem there.
Okay. And then, you could say, well, I'm just going to pair it with these AirPods, and that's okay, but it's still going to be tied to their profile someplace, somewhere.
Yeah.
The configuration happens in the AirPods itself, but here's the other issue, is that these things get updated all the time. And so eventually it may work. What my feeling is, it may work for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they don't work again because it's paired to your friend's iPhone. Then there's some update that's coming down the pike. Then you don't get the update, and then, okay.
I gotcha.
See, the thing.
Can I ask you one thing?
Well, let me finish. The thing about Apple is that it is a ecosystem, and so with that ecosystem, you get all this great compatibility. But when you try to get out the system, you don't have that capability. So, like, if you have a Pixel, the Google Pixel Buds Pro, they work seamlessly with Android devices. Does it have the hearing aid capability right now? Absolutely not. Will it have the capability? Absolutely 100% it will. Just doesn't have it right now.
Right. I might be better off in just waiting until they come out with that feature. And I mean, I can hear pretty well, but I know it's coming. So that might be I could wait a year or so if I have to.
Yeah, I mean, you can wait. I mean, or you could always see if, take a look at hearing aids and see what's out there. I mean, if you're suffering hearing loss right now, why wait for a year? Just, take a look at, hearing aids. We have a sponsor in case you want to check them out, here.com/Cam. Once again, that's here.com/Cam. They have some 45-day risk-free trials you might want to just check out. But yeah, I wouldn't try to mix those apples and oranges any day of the week. And Tom, thanks for your call. Speaking of health, it's time now for our health tip brought to you by buyoptimizers.com/Cam. All right, your Apple Watch is like a little doctor on your wrist. You wear it while you sleep. It will notify you of low oxygen levels and sleep apnea, which aside from causing that, crazy snoring, can lead to serious risks, of course, like heart attack and stroke. While Apple's new sleep apnea tech is FDA approved, it's not perfect. Your watch mainly tracks wrist movements at night, which is good for picking up severe sleep apnea, but not as reliable for mild cases. Apple also says you need to wear it at least 30 days to get a really good reading. And if you're worried, you really should be paying attention to the real signs of sleep apnea. Ask your partner, your spouse, your roommate if you snore really loudly, or if you ever wake up gasping for air. If you wake up with headaches or confusion, other signs. So if you have these, make sure you go to a real doctor where you can be assessed for real. All right, here's what we got coming up. What if your new boyfriend or girlfriend or partner asks for your phone's PIN? Ooh, feels a little creepy, doesn't it? And of course, we have some more wonderful phone calls, great phone calls you just can't afford to miss here on the Kim Komando Show. Now, before we get to all the phone calls, just a quick reminder, a couple of things. Number one is that I love to get your questions. I love to help everybody out. And we've got a few ways for you to do that. Number one, if you want to do it by just writing me a note, best place, don't DM me all over social media. I get overwhelmed. Best place, Komando.com. There's a link at the top. This is Ask Kim. That's when you can be 100% assured that I'm going to see your note. The other thing that you can do is record a voice memo. This is so fun and it's so new. And so I want you to think it like a voicemail. So you don't just say like, hey, Kim, comma, I have a question, exclamation mark. No, don't do that. Just say to whoever your smart assistant is, take a voice memo, you record into your phone, and then you hit the little box with the arrow pointing up, and then you can just email that to me to podcasts with an S. That's podcasts@komando.com. That's podcasts with an S at komando.com. And by the way, don't send me any type of text there. That's just for audio only. Podcasts@komando.com. Voice memos only. All right. That all said, Daniel in Virginia. Hi there, Daniel.
Well, you had mentioned in one of your recent newsletters a number of statements about artificial intelligence, trying to get some knowledge out there on how people can use it in their daily lives or in their business lives. And you invited people like myself to send you questions if we had any. And so I sent you a question about my business.
Oh, okay. I remember. Yes.
Artificial intelligence. Yes.
Yeah.
Golf Scotland is the business. It's a golf tourism company.
Yeah, I remember you sent me a voicemail.
Yes, I did.
A voice memo. So cool. Thank you for doing that. By the way, folks, if you ever want to send me your question in a voice memo, you just go ahead and record on your phone. You send it to podcasts@komando.com. Podcasts@komando.com. All right. So tell me about your company and how did you come up with this idea and how did you get started and good stuff like that?
Well, long story short, I was on a business trip working for another company out there in Palo Alto, California, called Tibco. I was doing a trip to Germany, and on the way back, this is back when they still had magazines on the airplanes. I was looking at a Golf Digest magazine, and in the back there was an advertisement for somebody to apply for what turned out to be a franchise idea, but anyway, a position in North America.
Okay.
And this company was headquartered in Dundee, Scotland. A couple of there was two guys that started this business, and I think there was a total of 4 people in the company at the time. But these two guys were both members of the Royal and Ancient Club for St. Andrews, and so they were able to garner guaranteed tea times that they could then resell to their customers, whoever they wanted to. Mm-hmm. And so they asked for me, if they asked me if I wanted to join their company, I said sure. What's entailed, and so they said, "Well, come on over." I flew over there on a Sunday, and so when I arrived there, I went out there on the course, and I was like, "What's going on?" There's people flying kites and walking dogs on the golf course and riding bikes, and what the hell is it? What is going on here? So anyway, it was shock and awe in the first occasion. But anyway, long story short, then I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it," and so. They said, well, okay, we've got a couple of folks already over in North America. We've got some guys in New England and some California. What about the Mid-Atlantic area? Would you like to do that? I said, sure, I'll do that. So for the last 20 years or so, I've been just putting golf packages together for people who want to go play golf in Scotland and Ireland. And it's been great. I've been enjoying the heck out of it. It's kind of been a side gig, if you will. Mm-hmm. Not relying on it much for anything other than to play golf myself and whatnot.
Yeah, but how fun? You know what? How fun is that? And so your question to me was how can you increase the sales in your area? But now you said you have like a geographic territory.
I do, primarily focused around the West Virginia and Virginia area, but not only that. I don't want to tread on some of these other people in New England or in California. Okay. They've got enough. But, just in my general Mid-Atlantic area, I'm free to, market the whole area if I want to.
Okay. Well, if I were tasked with this job, what I would do is to make a list of who is my customer, who's my favorite customer. What does that person look like? So you put together whoever this perfect profile is, and Dan, you know who that guy is, and you know who that gal is. Okay? In my case, it wasn't my husband who's the golfer. But see, what you can do once you have your perfect customer in front of you. That's when you look at Facebook advertising and Instagram advertising, because of the geographic limitation. Because, like you said, you don't want to step on anybody in New England. You don't want to step on anybody in the Midwest or Southwest, whatever it may be. Is that you can say, I'm looking for this person, and you have all this criteria: how many kids they have. What their age is, what their employment status is, what level they are in a corporation, whatever it is. Okay, maybe they even follow certain golf personalities. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so you have all this data, and then you go onto Facebook and you say, I want to find this person, and I want to give them this ad. Okay,
right,
and then you start figuring out how much you're willing to pay for that person to come in through a lead, to fill out a form, and so that this way you can give them more information and then arrange a trip for them, because you do golf, hotel, airfare, transportation, food, whatever it may be, special occasion. And so that's when you come up with whatever that cost is going to be and what is your threshold. And so I have intimate knowledge with Facebook advertising simply because that right now I'm spending anywhere between, I'll tell you what the number is, anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a day in Facebook advertising.
Sure.
Okay. Well, how am I doing this and why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I'm building a new newsletter business. So that's when we look at how much is the long-term value of that customer, and that's where you got to do the math. Okay. And this is also where you can use AI, because you can plug all this into AI, go to ChatGPT and tell it to be, I want you to be a golf marketing expert. Okay. And you say, this is my perfect customer. Give me some headlines and give me some ideas for some creatives for Facebook advertising. Okay. And in addition to that, you can also run ads on golf and travel apps and target people just in your particular area. So start from there, Dan, and look at how you can use ChatGPT to ask it some questions, and just as if you were paying a marketing consultant, and you're going to be really amazed at what it comes back with. So take a look at Facebook ads, tons of tutorials on the internet, and then if you need any additional points, tricks, secrets, whatever it may be, just know you can always tap right back into me. I mean, let me tell you, starting and growing this business has been the most expensive business degree in the history of mankind. I love getting business questions. I think it's so fun. I love entrepreneurs. And so if you ever have a business question, please feel free to reach out. I mean, I started this company. I have no debt, no investors, super proud of that. And I bet you I can pass along some words of wisdom that will help you out too. Okay, so you're in a relationship. You respect each other's privacy. Do you share your smartphone's code? The answer is not always yes, because it's now considered a major step in a relationship, kind of like handing over a spare set of keys to your house. And it usually comes after the two of you share your location on Find My Friends or a similar app, because you have to remember your phone has a lot of your personal information on that. And what happens if the relationship goes south? You're left totally exposed. So what you want to do is ask yourself a few questions. Do I trust this person? Most importantly, do we plan to stay committed? Hey, make sure that you enter to win that brand new iPhone at winfromkim.com.
Thanks for listening to the Kim Komando Show. Here's hour 4.
All right, so how many hours a week do you think you just park it in a chair? Okay, make a guess. Is it 20 hours, 30 hours? Oh my gosh. Try 45 hours a week, okay? That may be the average. But what about millennials, those who are 28 to 49 years old? Oh, this is bad. They're clocking 60 hours a week sitting down, 60 hours a week. Of course, this raises the risk of heart and circulatory problems. And so what you want to do is maybe stand up. But wait, no, there was another survey that said if you have one of those standing desks, that's just as bad as sitting. So what do you need to do? Come on, say it with me. You gotta move it. That's right. Good luck with that one. Hey, on that happy note, welcome. I'm Kim Komando, America's digital goddess, here with you once again, making sure that you are always tech ahead and never left tech behind. And you have just tapped into the biggest show, the best show, the most trusted source about all things digital. And you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations throughout the United States. And of course, we're streaming in your favorite radio app. Just search for my last name, Komando, with a K, of course. And now, this is so great. You can find the Kim Komando Show as a podcast in your favorite podcast player. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching over 375,000 service members, serving in 175 countries. Wow. And 200 ships at sea. Yeah, they also get the Kim Komando Show. And great sponsors always help to make this show possible. And as I'm giving out these money-saving deals and promo codes and addresses, and if you're like, oh, what was that? You just need to go to one spot, and that's komando.com/sponsors. And I know you have at least, 1 to 12 questions about something digital that's happening in your life. And, you just can't trust AI, but you can always trust me. And that's why our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. Alrighty, then every single day I just dive into at least 35, sometimes 45 or even 50 different sources to make sure that we're both up to date on what's going on in the tech world. And here are the top 5 things you need to know about right now. We're going to start with the number one reason why a lot of Americans have rejected electric vehicles. It's the batteries. Limited range, hard to find recharging stations, and then when you get there, you have lines and then long recharging times. But Toyota says, life is going to be different. We're going to change this because lithium-ion batteries have all but killed the EVs in the United States. Batteries are unstable, they catch fire, they're impossible to extinguish. So here comes Toyota. They say, yeah, we have a solid-state battery that's less dense and more stable than lithium-ion batteries. Okay, now before you sit there and go, oh, Kim, this is so boring. How can you be talking about batteries? this is actually something big. This is something you're going to want to share with your family members and friends because the solid state battery is lighter and takes only about half the time to charge. But the real breakthrough, okay, that on a full charge, a solid state battery, are you ready for it? Can get almost 800 miles on a single charge. Yes, 800 miles. So that's why it's exciting sometimes to talk about batteries. All right. Maybe not that much. All right, let's talk about artificial intelligence. From what it learns, it later plagiarizes. But what happens when AI just runs out of human-generated content, right? Listen to this. If AI needs research but has exhausted all the human-generated material, some of these large language models, they're called LLMs for short, talking about like those ones from OpenAI and Google and Microsoft, they begin using what's called synthetic data. Okay, synthetic data, that's just a fancy phrase for research created by AI itself. But much of it is far-fetched, wrong, they hallucinate. And so just one more reminder, never turn your back on AI. Always check carefully what it says and be ready to pull the plug. Moving on to number 3, is America's biggest grocery store chain about to begin charging based on your income? What? Yeah. Kroger is the nation's biggest grocery chain. It owns a slew of them, talking about Fry's and Ralph's and Harris Teeter, Pick and Save, and a whole bunch more. And Albertsons, I think they're still trying to buy that for, I don't know, $26 billion or so. Kroger has begun what it calls dynamic pricing strategy. What's that? Well, when demand is up, like turkeys at Thanksgiving, turkey prices will go up. So the chain is exploring ways to target prices based on a person's so-called consumer profile. And it's collaborating with an AI company called Intelligence Node to do this. So, bottom line here, some customers may be charged more based on their shopping habits and their ability to pay. So, like, for example, if you buy expensive luxury items, like maybe a better cut of steak, like a filet, you buy more expensive wines, you may pay more for other items simply because you can. Wow. Isn't that something? Moving on to number 4. Oh man, cyber kidnapping. It's on the rise. It's frightening thousands and it's stealing millions. And I just want to remind you about this. So let's say your phone rings. It's a familiar number. It's your son, your daughter, your spouse, your partner. And when you answer, a menacing voice tells you that they have kidnapped your loved one. And if you want them back, you better send them some money. But it gets worse. You hear your loved one plead with you, please, please, please send the money. They're hurting me. You get a photo of them in chains. You watch a video of them crying. So what are you going to do? You wire a large sum of money to the kidnappers and you wait. You wait. Hours go by. The money's gone. And then you discover later that no one was in danger. Everything was all AI generated. So if this happens to you, call your loved one first or find someone who can check on them. Kidnappers rarely call from a victim's phone. It's just too easy to trace. And finally, this coming in at number 5, at least 2 generations have no concept of a world before texting and social media and smartphones and video games and streaming and AI. But Gen Z has discovered what America has first discovered in the early 1950s. You ready for it? Free TV. Yeah. So we abandoned cable and satellite. They deserved it. High prices. They just had snotty service. And then we went to Hulu and Disney and Apple and Paramount and Prime, and it goes on and on and on. And now we're finding that we're paying more for all this than we did in cable. So an entire generation is now discovering free TV. Oh, but it's not exactly free. You have to watch those annoying ads. But wait, we have annoying ads on streaming too? Yes. So what's next? Rooftop TV antennas? Yeah, you remember those? Speaking of, it reminds me of that old joke. 2 antennas met on a roof. They fell in love and they got married. The ceremony wasn't much, but the reception was excellent. Ooh. All right, coming up, we're talking about some AI-generated women. And what's going on with SIM swapping scams. And of course, we have all of your great phone calls. And you have me, Kim Commando, so stay right where you are. Hey, I'm giving away a brand new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence. And I know you should win this. You definitely need to win this. But how do you win it? You go to winfromkim.com, and that's where you enter. No purchase required, by the way. That's winfromkim.com, winfromkim.com. All righty, how about we start with Cheryl in Lancaster, New Hampshire. Hi, Cheryl.
I have a business here in New Hampshire, and I'm a woman. The woman business owners today and I just wanted to get some tips from you as to how to stay safe given the climate today. And I get and even like information and technology, because let me tell you, I get a lot of crazy calls.
What kind of business do you have, Cheryl?
An IT cloud management business.
And what do you do?
I'm basically I'm self-sufficient. I do it all. I schedule appointments. I build my own website. I kind of do it all.
That's what it is being a small business owner. I think, even now today I have a team. There's still a lot of stuff that I do. I'm like, really? Like, changing light bulbs and, getting ready for shows and making sure, that the gates are working. And it's just, the list just goes on and on. I think but I think you need to have a certain personality for this. It sounds like you do. I know that I do. It's like, I think if I just did one thing all day long, I would be incredibly bored.
Oh my gosh, I would be. I need to be doing multi things. I can't just do one thing all day. I would go crazy.
Now, when you're talking about staying safe, in what regard?
Just even like technology, as well as like phone calls. Like I'm trying to hire people for my business to help, so I can get some help. And I put a job posting out there. I've talked to people as as I go about my day. And, you get a lot of people that say, oh, yeah, I'm interested. I give them my card. They call me. I have an interview with them. And then, they say, yeah, I think they're great. I hire them, and then they don't show up, or they start getting all weirded out on me. One guy actually, tried to almost, he didn't, he was like calling me and at weird hours. I'm like, dude, this is not going to work.
Hiring people is really tough. I started this business 25 years ago. I have no debt. I have no investors. And it becomes a real challenge to find people who are genuinely talented, that have a work ethic, and you want them to have the same passion for their job as you have as the company owner. And sometimes I think our expectations are a little too high. So what I have found over the years is I kind of lower the bar just a little bit, so I become pleasantly surprised. And I think also my management style has changed over the years as well. But hiring somebody and finding somebody, it's really very difficult. We have job openings now that we've had for 8 weeks. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Where I have interviewed various people. And before they get to me, Cheryl, they have to go through 2 other levels. And over the last 6 to 8 weeks, I think I've interviewed 4 people. Now, keep in mind, they've gone through 2 other levels, and I've turned down 3 of them because I didn't like certain responses. But what I have found is that the way that we're doing it now, I think is really beneficial, is that we have people fill out a standard application online. If they won't complete the application online, then they don't want the job enough, because the application is a supplement to their resume. But in addition to that, the application, they have to give you permission, and they give us permission to check their references, that they haven't been convicted of a felony, that everything that they're telling us is 100% true. Okay. And it varies from state to state, but this is what we do in the state of Arizona. Okay. Then we have a 15-minute interview with them, no more than 15, 20 minutes. And then we give them a test. The test is of whatever the skill that they're going to be doing. Okay.
Okay.
And so like if it's somebody who's applying for social media, we'll say, you need to write 3 social media posts about this. You need to do a reel. You need to do a short. You need to come up with some type of campaign that's going to generate more followers, okay, whatever it may be. If they're applying to work in video, we're going to give them a video task. If audio, an audio task. Marketing, sales, you see where I'm going. Okay, so now they go through the test. Okay, now you've already weeded out the people who aren't motivated because they didn't fill out the application and they didn't want to do the test, or they did the test half, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now you have to have them explain the test results to you, because you want to make sure that they did the test, or you can have them do the test in your premise, in front of you, or at least in a conference room. Okay. Then you're going to do a background check, verify all their past employments, their education. That's really important because a lot of people don't do that. So they put anything down on their resume. Okay. And you look at their LinkedIn profile, you Google search their name, look at their Instagram page. Okay. I mean, there was somebody who was pretty well in the process, and I said, I wonder what they're doing. And then I find on their Instagram page that they hate the police. Okay, well, okay, that's not good for me. Okay, there was somebody else who was pretty far into the interview process, and they had an OnlyFans page. Okay, not in congruence with our morals and values here at the show. Okay, so it's it's very difficult, and especially because a lot of people are employed, but you still have to be careful of whoever you bring into your circle, especially as a small business owner, that they are worthy to be there, because you are going to offer them a competitive salary, benefits, days off, sick time, and you have to invest your time with them. As I've explained to my folks, is that there was a gal who's, again, very recently in the interview process, who she said after 6 months, she'd like to go to work for us overseas. I'm like, nope, that's not part of the thing, I'd like to go work out of Paris too, but not me.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I'd like to be there. No, I still got to have my sorry butt here in Phoenix, Arizona, which is a fabulous place. And then professional networks, if you can come up with, if there's any business groups, and you may want to have a lawyer bring up some non-disclosure agreements, legal contracts. It all has to comply to your state. So does that help you out?
It sure does. You've opened my eyes to some ideas I never thought of. But no, that is awesome. Thank you very much.
Well, if there's anything else that I can help you with, let me tell you, I've heard them all, Cheryl.
I bet you have.
I've heard all the stories. And I've interviewed all kinds of people. Yeah, I don't want to go into it here. So if I can lend a hand, just let me know. I'm always here for you. All right, Gen Zers, the career of the future. Are you ready for it? Influencer. That's right. They're actually going to universities now that are offering college degrees on how to be a social media influencer. Okay. Oh my gosh. Really? Yeah, that's right. Hard to believe it. Yes. Let me tell you, it's like being a football quarterback. Only a few folks make it, so always make sure that you have a backup. All right, still to come, we're talking about AI-generated women who are after your hearts and your money here on the Kim Komando Show. All right, it's a scam that's happening all the time. I'm talking about SIM swapping scams, and it's a way that the hackers and scammers and criminals, they get a copy of your phone and then they can hack into your bank account. I'm going to tell you more about that. And of course, we have your phone calls. But before we delve into all of that, let's talk about as the temperatures are coming down. Thank goodness in Phoenix, Arizona, I thought it was never going to end. Oh my gosh, it was like 110, 120, even in October. September. But finally now, yes, we get to wear sweaters. But maybe you're going to be dealing with ice and snow. But this can wreak havoc on your tech gadgets, especially your smartphone. There's a magical number that spells trouble for phones, and it's 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So you definitely always want to protect your expensive devices from cold weather damage. Always leave home with a fully charged phone. Why? Because your phone's lithium-ion battery can lose juice really quickly when the temperatures are lower. You always want to get a good case. An insulated one is even better. These are designed to keep the phone snug and warm, since most phones work best around a cozy 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And here's a big no-no. Never leave your phone in a freezing car or drop it in the snow. And whatever you do, I know people have done this. When I say it, you're going to be like, Kim, I would never do that. Okay. Well, there's always that person. Think back in grammar school, there was that one kid. Okay. Whatever you do, resist the urge to speed things up with a blow dryer, or worse yet, put it in a microwave oven. Yeah, that's also a big no-no. All right. Let's see. John in Tyler, Texas. Hi, John.
Well, first, I'm a relatively new listener, found your podcast not too long ago and really enjoying that.
Oh, thank you.
Of course, the tech tips are great, but your jokes are even better because, not to throw you under the bus, but, when I tell a joke and it's really bad, I get to say, well, at least it's not as. And so thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
At least it's not as bad as Kim's jokes. I get it.
Well, I didn't actually say that out loud.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. So I'm calling about security with passwords and such.
Okay.
The issue is helping my mother, who's in her early 80s, keep track of passwords. She's got a list that she writes them down on. She has a spreadsheet on a computer, and she has Dashlane. And my brother and I have been trying to get her to do Dashlane, but she says it's confusing, and so she doesn't use it much. And then she has to change her passwords, and she forgets to write them down, and so on and so forth. And then an additional kind of related question is like to get info about passwords versus pass keys, and also using like an authenticator app for two-factor authentication.
Okay, so let's talk about Mom. What does Mom have? What is she using?
She has an iPhone, probably 12 or 13, and then she uses a Windows PC.
Why is she still on a Windows PC?
Because, that's the way it's always been, I guess. I don't have a great answer for that.
Because, see, here's my thing. Is I don't think any older adult should be on a Windows PC. Because tech support scams are the number one scams targeting older adults. And she's liable to get a pop-up, and then she's going to click. Maybe she's not. I don't know. But I just think that it's a hassle. But if she feels comfortable and she's not clicking anywhere, not giving anybody any money, then as long as you keep an eye on it. But I'm always worried about the tech support scams, especially like somebody like Googling Microsoft tech support and then getting, taken advantage of because, somebody's in their computer and then they get copies of all their passwords and they enter their bank account. I just have heard this so many times. So that's what worries me.
Okay.
As far as on her passwords, I mean, like you said, she has a spreadsheet, she has Dashlane. Obviously she doesn't want to use Dashlane because she keeps going back to the spreadsheet, right?
Right. So I was hoping there might be a easier to use product, maybe a product that has some fairly simple how-to videos that she could watch, something of that nature.
Well, Dashlane's pretty easy. It's not that hard to do, and they've got a lot of tutorials. And she's keeping it all in a spreadsheet. So probably because this way, at some point, she knows that, she's going to have to, you guys are going to have to access those passwords. I mean, if your mom was like anything like my mom, I mean, very practical. Okay. I'm putting them here. So this way you can get into my accounts if you need to. Okay.
Right.
I went through this with my mom. As a matter of fact, I tried Dashlane with her. That's why I know it's easy to use. Okay. But I could not get her to do it. Okay. She had spreadsheets too, and she would forget to do it. And so what I found, and this is going to sound really crazy, John, is
the best kind, yeah.
Is that I went old school with her because that's what she is. That's what she was. Okay.
Yeah.
And my mother was one of the developers of the Unix operating system, just to let you know.
Wow.
I mean, remember a long time ago you'd call 411?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was my mother's design. My mother did that. Okay.
Wow, well, can't anymore, but thank you.
No, and so I'm telling you this because she was computer literate. I mean, she was. I mean, this was her background. This is why I am doing what I do, because she passed the baton on. Okay. That what I found is I got rid of the Windows PC and I got her an iPad, and she was a lot happier for that, by the way, because she didn't have to deal with system updates and everything. She could still check her fidelity and see the 401k, and she could go to Facebook and FaceTime and everything, just having a pad in front of her. But then when it came time for passwords, that's when I said, you know what, this is not working, this system that's not working, because when she couldn't remember a password is that she would get frustrated, and then she would ask me for help. Okay. And then she would ask for it 3 times, and, your security question.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah. Okay. So I said, you know what, let's try something new, because what we're doing right now is not working. And I went on Amazon and I bought her a $7. I told her this book costs $7. Okay. So this is not a crazy expense. Okay. And it's a password book. Okay. And when you change the password, it has it has A, B, C, D. And so when you change the password, you just scratch it out and you type your new password in. Just write it in. Okay. And that was her Bible. That was her password book. And she unfortunately was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. That's a horrible diagnosis.
Oh, yeah.
But that password book, when I had to take care of the estate, was a lifesaver for me, because I had everything that I needed right in that book. And she was religious about putting it in there because it was easier, I think, than the spreadsheet, than using Dashlane or whatever it was, whatever it might have been. It was just more realistic. It was more pragmatic. I mean, she was used to handwriting things. So pass keys are coming. Biometrics is coming. We're starting to see Google rolling it out and Apple's rolling it out. And, Microsoft is trailing a little bit behind in that whole realm. But try the password book. Just go on Amazon, buy a little password book, explain to her, this is what, this is how it's going to be. It's like an old address book that you used to have, write people's phone numbers in, and they change phone number, you'd cross that out, and you'd write in the new phone number. And I think, John, sometimes we just got to make it simple and not so techy, and it just works out best sometimes. Thanks for your call. All right, so you're so excited. You met a girl online. She's super beautiful. She's a stunner. And then you even had a quick video chat with her, and you're like, hey, okay, I've done my due diligence. This is amazing. Thank you, God. I'm going to be falling in love. All right, here's the deal. Scammers are using AI-created women to target you on the dating apps. With these AI image generators, these fakes pop up faster than you can swipe right. And they can chat with you, they can video call with you, and they can even sweet talk you via text. And people are getting duped. And it's costing a lot more than just a few bad dates. We're talking like thousands and thousands of dollars. So if you're online dating right now, I want you to totally be on the lookout. Some telltale signs that you're talking to AI. The woman that you're speaking to has perfect features. But as you look a little bit closer, what's going on? Does she have an extra finger? Does she have 3 eyeballs? Are the earrings in the right places? And then you want to capture a picture of this and then do a reverse image search. And if everything feels like it's moving too quickly, it's just too extraordinary, and then she starts asking for money, you want to swipe left, like right now. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls, as well as that warning about SIM swapping scams I need to tell you about here on the Kim Komando Show. Hey, listen, just a quick reminder is that over at youtube.com/Kim Komando, I know if you just can't get enough of me, you're going to love all the videos that we're putting out. I mean, for example, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have Kim Komando Today. It's your fun podcast, as I like to say, about everything digital. We don't take calls. We just kind of, I don't know, it's like we're sitting around the kitchen table talking about all things tech. And again, that's youtube.com/Kim Komando. And when you're there, do me a huge favor and hit that big old subscribe button. Please help me do that. I'm trying to get to that next level of YouTube stardom, and I need everybody to subscribe to my channel to do that. Plus, you get automatic notifications when we're live and when some new shorts. And so you get instant notifications whenever we drop the new stuff. So again, that's youtube.com/Kim Komando. All righty then, Terry in Corning, New York. Hi, Terry.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. What's going on?
I have a question that I have not been able to get an answer for yet. For our laptops, for our tablets, and for our phones, there are ad blockers everywhere. And I have them on my PC, and no ads, no commercials, no anything. I have it on my phone. I have a brand new phone, and I'm still having a little bit of trouble with that, but I'm working on it. Okay. My question for you today is there anything out there to block commercials on television? You know, we pay all this money for cable, and the commercials, some of them are horrendous, you know, horror stuff, and it's inappropriate. Better way to put it. A lot of it.
Yeah. A lot of it's annoying too. I get that. Let's switch gears for just a second.
Sure.
Do you know the TV brand Vizio?
Yes, that's what I use.
Okay, so Vizio, so you know it's a relatively inexpensive television, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So what's interesting to me is in the last quarter, Vizio TV, they made $57.3 million.
Wow.
Okay, but they didn't make that by selling televisions.
No.
They made that by selling advertising and viewer data. Okay. They made $25.6 million selling TVs. So you can see there's a lot of money, and there's a way that you can turn off this tracking on your Vizio. We have the steps on the website for LG, Samsung, and any other Sony, anybody under the realm. But I always find it interesting that how Vizio is now making money, and that they're making more money. It's almost like a loss leader. The TV's a loss leader.
Right.
So
exactly.
When it comes time for content that's delivered via cable or satellite, it's difficult to block. And you have to remember that these networks are getting so much money from advertising revenue that supports the programming. And there's really no way to easily skip or block the ads unless, of course, you record the programming and you have a DVR. And then you can fast forward through the commercials and watch them later. Some cable companies give you the DVR. Otherwise, you can purchase a standalone DVR like a TiVo. But it's unlikely that the networks are ever going to give you a way to skip the commercials because that's how they're making their money, and they're giving the programming. Yeah, okay. And so it's and that's how we make money here. We sell advertising. We'd love for you to listen to the ads and support our sponsors, and that's what keeps the light bill on and the website operational and all that other good stuff. But when it comes to your TV, if you are concerned about, are you concerned about that tracking on your TV, Terry?
Not really. What I just, like I called, we have Spectrum cable. Mm-hmm. I called them and they said there's nothing that they can do.
Oh, no, I'm not talking about blocking TVs. No. Are you concerned about that Vizio is keeping track of everything that you watch and how long you watch it and then selling that to who knows who?
Of course I am, yes.
Because the reason why I ask is that if you are, then what I'm going to do is when I put you on hold and say thank you for your call, is I'm going to make sure that we give you that link, that direct link, so that this way you can know the exact steps to take to turn off that tracking on your television. In case you're wondering like, oh, I didn't even know as I'm watching my TV, it's watching me. Is that we have all the instructions step by step for all the major TV makers over at Komando.com. Just search for, TV tracking remove or something like that in the search box at the site. I'm sure that tip will pop up for you and for everybody else. And for Terry, we're going to go ahead and give you that link right now as I put you on hold. And thank you for your call. Oh, it's the old money train, Terry. That's what it is. Hey, just a quick reminder, if you're just too shy to come on a big-time radio show and podcast, I still want to get all of your questions. And so the best way for you to do that is to hit Komando.com. There's a link at the top that says Ask Kim. All right, imagine this. You're checking your phone and suddenly it just stops working. You're like, what's going on? No calls in, no calls out. So then you're like, okay, what am I going to do? So you try to find a landline, you borrow somebody's phone, and you call your carrier. Then comes the shocker. They say, hey, your phone number has been moved to a brand new phone. But you're sitting there saying like, I didn't get a new phone. What's going on? It's called SIM swapping. What happens is scammers get your name and other personal details, including your phone number. Then they call up the carrier and they sweet talk them to switch your number to their phone. And then they get control. With access to your text, they can bypass two-factor authentication and get right into your bank account. So don't let this happen to you. Call your phone carrier and set up a unique passcode that has to be used for any changes on your account. Yeah, really important stuff. Hey, and just a quick reminder, make sure that you do enter to win that new iPhone. Go over to winfromkim.com.